Somerset moved into a position of strength with a day to go of their latest championship match against Lancashire at Taunton. They started the day on 266 for 3, trailing by 78 on first innings, with the first job to get shot of that deficit and to then start building a substantial lead. And with Xander de Bruyne and Josh Butler at the crease, the first part of that equation was going nicely in the opening half an hour. De Bruyne reached his half-century. It was a patient one coming from 93 balls. The two added a further 33 runs before Butler on debut edged Glenn Chappell behind for 30. The innings then really altered its impetus with the arrival of Craig Kieswetter, who began his innings looking in wonderful touch. Many times this summer he's had the luxury of coming into bat with plenty of runs already on the board, but he's rarely let his side down, adding the needed aggression to get his team well on top in a game. He has clearly a fantastic eye, as emphasised by this shot, which cleared the fence. With the score at 350 with a lead of just 6, Somerset lost their 5th wicket as De Bruyne inexplicably chased a very wide ball from Kyle Hogg and was caught by VVS Laxman for 71. But what came next from Somerset was simply magnificent, as Kieswetter and Peter Trigo added 183 in just 35 overs. Kieswetter went to a 50 off only 51 balls, and then Trigo hit his straps with a couple of early maximums to get the crowd really interested. Anything pitched up to him felt the full swing of his bat as the ball soared over the boundary. On this form, he's one of the best strikers of a cricket ball in domestic cricket. He went to his 50 shortly after lunch. It came off 61 balls. And he then increased his tempo further, having reached that milestone. Kieswetter was magnificent and went to his brilliant 100, his 4th in the championship this summer. He also went past 1,000 runs very early on in his knock. Having got to his turn, he really then got going. Somerset knew that they wanted to have a big enough lead and still have Lancashire batting on the 3rd evening, and the wicketkeeper was doing everything in his power to help that with a mixture of the extravagant and the quite brilliant. This has been a fantastic season for him with both bat and gloves, and England should be thankful that he qualifies for them early next year. The two had rattled the score along to 533, a lead of 189, when Trigo went top-edging a sweep, trying to negate the tactics of bowling down the leg side. He made 80 from 98 balls. So he wasn't there to see Kieswetter go to his 150 with the 6th of his innings. His last 50 had taken only 31 balls. He was out for a career best 153, going for another maximum, but he had carried the score to 557 for 7. David Stiff went to the first ball he faced, and Marcus Trescothick then declared, with a total at 557 for 8. That meant Lancashire began their 2nd innings trailing by 213, with still a session to go in the day, and it was a session which their batsmen had to be very careful about. They had to ignore the certain pressures from the Somerset bowlers and bat as they did in the first half hour. But then, with the score at 27, Luke Sutton edged Alfonso Thomas behind on 16 to open the door. The next hour was a frustrating one, as Paul Horton, fresh from his 173 in the first innings, kept them at bay. But that patience was rewarded as Kieswetter took his 8th catch of the match off the inside edge of Horton's bat. He made 32. Laxman and Malloy saw out the day, but Lancashire still have it all to do. They'll resume on the final day on 87 for 2, and that means they still trail by 126 runs.